Welcome to New York's Brother Broadcast. We are back. First day of the new year, January 1st, 2024. Yo, Kenny, you look a little slimmer. It's been a while. It's been a while. How you
No,
doing?
I literally started my diet today, so
Oh, there you go. There you
yeah,
go. That's how you do it.
trying to get back into it.
So as you can see, both our backgrounds. Ooh, that's the way you start the year, guys. That's the way you start your year.
Some
Where were
big
you when
news
this
from
shit
the
happened?
Knicks.
Where was you?
I was working.
Oh, you were working.
Yeah, working at the second job and looked at my phone. I was looking at Instagram and I saw the Woj bomb, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I had to see like who it came from, and I saw it was from Woj. So I realized like it was legit. And that's when I started texting all you guys. Couldn't believe it. It was like a bittersweet feeling because, you're like RJ, all right, like that's fine. Picks, like all right, that's expected. IQ, like
Yeah, I know.
but you have to give up something to get something in return. And I think the way they played tonight and what OG showed in such a small, practice window and knowing the playbook, our playbook and stuff like that, he showed that this is what we wanted RJ to be and he just couldn't do it. I don't know if he'll ever be like an OG, and I know Kev, you and I have always spoke about this. That's his ceiling, but that was like a really, really stretchful ceiling.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah,
Always wishful thinking. But before we get into it, let's just review the trade real quick. Raptors are giving up three players, right? They're giving up obviously Anunoby, Precious Achua, and Malachi Flynn. And Knicks are giving up a
IQ.
IQ, Barrett, like we mentioned, and a really good second round pick, which should be a
Detroit.
Detroit, correct, second round pick. So that should be like another first round pick, like we mentioned it. It's almost like that. It should be no matter what, a top five pick in the second round. There's no lottery there, just straight out wherever you fall. Right now, it would be number one, it'd be the 31st pick, which is, very good that they snuck that in. Very nice that we didn't give up any first round picks. But tell me what you think about first what Toronto gave to us. What did we got? All three players. Don't forget the other guys, man. They
Yeah,
matter. They
no.
matter.
I mean, it's not just really the two impactful players that we're getting is OG and Precious, right? Um, we needed a backup center badly. Now that Mitchell Robinson's out for the year, all we have is iHeart, and I'm telling you, we have to re-sign that guy because I love him. I'll get mad if we don't, but
We will. We will.
he adds the rebounding, the defense in the inside. Um, that guy, I just think he was in the wrong team because he was overshadowed by Siakam and who's the other guy that's like really good over there?
Barnes.
Barnes.
Okay.
I know Barnes plays what, the three and the four sometimes.
Sometimes the five, sometimes the one.
He's like
Barnes
all
plays
over the
everywhere. Yeah,
place.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that takes minutes from Precious Achua, and I think right now it's going to be solid for him because he's going to be a solid backup for us. I thought he was great with the Heat, and I remember when they traded him to Toronto, I was like, damn, that's huge. But it made sense. They had Bam Adebayo. They were kind of the same player, except Bam Adebayo was a lot better offensively.
Okay. I'm going to say that he has a tryout with the Knicks till February 8th, and I wouldn't be surprised the Knicks flip him. And this is why. He is a restricted free agent, and I don't think they're going to put the money into him. I don't think they're going to invest in him. I think they're going to try to flip him. I really do think that they're going to be calling the Bulls. I hope it only takes Precious Achua to get Andre Drummond, but I think they're going to flip him, honestly. That's my opinion. I don't think they want to pay him. I think because they're going to have to pay Hartenstein, and they will pay Hartenstein because now that Mitchell Robinson has proven that he's injury prone, it's too much risk to let a guy like Hartenstein leave. And I think they're just not going to pay him and Anunoby, which they're talking about. He might take a little bit of a pay cut, which I like that,
I
man.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Um, so no faith in Malachi Flynn.
I liked him when the draft was happening back in what 2021, I think is when he got drafted. I think it was the same year as IQ, right?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so.
Because I remember I think when we selected IQ, I never knew about IQ. Um,
I didn't know too much about him. I heard about rumors about us being interested, and I was like, no, I don't want him. I don't know who he
yeah.
is.
So I was kind of rooting for Malachi Flynn. I wouldn't have minded him if we got him. Um, but he hasn't really done much in the league. Especially, his opportunity really came after they lost Van Vliet. Um, but
True.
you know, hey,
He's been proving it.
anything can happen, right? I think this is his opportunity now because,
Correct.
like you said before, we've talked outside of this podcast. I don't know how much leeway they're gonna give Deuce, right?
Yeah, I know.
And you kind of saw it today. He's not a playmaker.
Mm-mm.
He can defend. He can shoot the ball, pretty decently, at least this year. He's just not a playmaker. He gives up that ball quick, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um,
Because he knows his limits.
yeah.
He's more like a shooting guard, but in a point guard body. And they like him though, because I'm hearing that I thought at first the extension was to maybe flip him, but I'm hearing that he has a trade restriction with this, so he won't be able to be flipped at the deadline. So they extended him because they really like him then. So I mean, Tom Thibodeau, defensive minded dogs out there. That's
Yep.
what he loves. If you're a dog out there, he loves you. And I guess they do love. And again, I think the same thing with Deuce and Malachi Flynn. I think the next, till the February 8th. So you can say that's 5 weeks, 7 to 35 days. I would say about 20, 25 games till the deadline. It's a tryout, but I think no matter what, they're gonna go get a point guard, to fill that need that IQ left. But before we get into, because I do want to get into what are they left with, well, holes and what's the next move. But before we get into that, tell me what Anobi brings to the table.
So he's a player that we wanted RJ to be, right? A 3-and-D guy. RJ's a little bit undersized, coming at 6'6", 6'7". Um, you know, he is that tall, small forward, a little bit almost like a power forward, 6'8", but
Mm.
you know, has that long wingspan. I think his wingspan reaches out to like 7'3", 7'4". Like it's
Yeah,
crazy long.
yeah,
He's always been such a great 3-point shooter, very efficient, volume shooter, high volume. Um, and just defensively, I think he's like top three, arguably the best defender in the league, you
yeah.
know. His downfall is that he's not going to drive to the basket as much as RJ did. But let's be honest. I mean, a lot of the times when RJ was driving to the basket, we had like no confidence in him scoring. I mean, his layups, his dribbling just looked horrible. And this is what we need. We need somebody to space out the floor for Brunson and Randall, um, and a great defender now that we can. I can't wait to play Boston, man, and put this
I
guy
know.
on Tatum. Finally we have somebody that can guard Tatum, guard those type of
Giannis.
players. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Finally.
I'm
LeBron,
excited.
Kawhi, all these wings. We finally got a wing. Yo, Ananobi's like the perfect example of a 3-and-D player. Excels at threes because his whole life he's been a 38, 37% shooter and higher, only
Yeah.
higher, 40, usually 40, 41, which I see him getting up to that 40, 41 again. And absolutely devastating defense. Can guard 1 through 5 if need be, but mostly that 3, 4. Let me tell you, they kind of, in this trade, they got length, a lot of length with Precious Achua too.
Yeah.
Just to it.
He's
They got a lot
another
of length.
6'8" with a long
Yeah.
wingspan.
Yeah.
6'8", 6'9", but
Good motor.
yeah, it's gonna be fun because he's gonna guard the best player. You know, he's gonna be that isolation defender.
Mhm.
Come at me, he's gonna try to stop him. So it's gonna be fun to see, and something that RJ lacked. I mean, the first 2 years he showed signs of like, oh man, this kid might be a pretty good
Mhm.
defender, and I don't know what happened the last like 2 years. He really like went downhill.
Do you think it's a lack of he just cannot do it? He can't just he's just not capable of it, or is a lack of focus? Which one do
I
you
don't
think it is?
I don't know. I mean, because they say that he's like a gym rat.
Mhm.
You know, he studies the game, like Tibbs loved him. I mean, Tibbs gave him every opportunity. This guy can go 0 for 60, and Tibbs was still playing
Yeah.
40 minutes a game. It's crazy. So it wasn't that, he didn't have the opportunity like some other Knicks like Toppin and stuff like that. He had every opportunity.
Or even
And
IQ.
yeah,
IQ didn't get as many opportunities. But I did notice that in the last probably 15 games, RJ was being benched in the fourth quarter to close out games. He was going to IQ and Jason, besides, Brunson Randall and whoever the center was, either Mitchell or Hartenstein. He was going Jason Hart, Josh Hart,
Josh Hart.
or yeah, I always say Jason Hart. I always do that. He was a basketball player back in the day. Um, Josh Hart and IQ, sometimes Dante, and he was benching Grimes and RJ Barrett, which was okay, it is what it is. But he was little by little starting to lose a little bit of faith in RJ Barrett. Something I saw on Knicks Film School. I follow them religiously. Uh, they interviewed Thibodeau in the OKC game, and they caught up to OKC. I don't know if you saw the game. We were getting our ass whooped. We caught up, and then they asked you. Then he went and he pulled out IQ and Hart, and they asked him, "Why did you do that? If they caught up, I needed length." So in other words, he was taking a little shot. They were saying at the GM, "Hey, you don't have I don't have the right players. I
That's
need a
true.
small forward. I need a real guy who can defend." I mean, Shea, who's gonna defend Shea? Barrett? No. Who?
Yeah.
Hart shorter than Shea, I think by an inch. Which you need that length to guard.
And I think that's what, every Nick fan fell in love with IQ. I mean, that guy brought life to the city, anytime he would play. But I think what a lot of Nick fans don't understand is that one, you can't pay this guy 25 million sitting off the bench, okay,
Correct.
and only playing 25 minutes a game off the bench. Um, so you move him to the two spot. Now you have two very undersized guards
Uh-huh.
who their strength is really not defense. It's strictly just offense. Because IQ, he's an above average defender. He's not a great defender.
Agreed.
Um, so you're really gonna get hurt when you're gonna play, the Steph Currys, the Damian Lillards, even what's his face from the Bucks, their point guard.
Lillard. Lillard.
No, no, not the Bucks. I'm sorry, from the Celtics.
Uh
Um,
White or Drew Holiday or
Drew, not Drew Holiday. Yeah, Drew Holiday. They traded for
yeah,
Drew
they play
Holiday,
they
right?
play two guards, Drew Holiday
Yeah.
and White.
So
But
like,
I think it's more like whoever the shooting guard is gonna have an advantage shooting over IQ because he's six what, 6'2"?
I think
Something
he's
like
like
that.
6'2", 6'3".
Oh yeah. And I think don't get me wrong, to me he was a good he was a good defender. He was good. He wasn't great, but he was good, especially for his position. Long length, a lot of heart. But you're right, it just doesn't work. It's proven enough that two guards really doesn't work. It's the reason you and I don't love Donovan Mitchell and the Knicks, right?
Right.
It's the reason exactly why. It's the
Yeah, he's
reason
6'2".
why.
Sorry.
Yeah, 6'2". Is the reason we don't want who else? DeJounte Murray. We're not in love with DeJounte Murray. At least he's 6'5", but he's also weak. He's small, short. For 6'5", he's not as
He's not a
aggressive.
great shooter.
No, he's not a great shooter. Doesn't fit the system, which we'll get into a little bit more too in terms of who you think what the next step is. But yeah, you're right. I mean, this was a much needed position, something that we've been asking for years. We've been supposedly we talked to the Raptors last year and we almost had a trade in place, but they backed out. I mean, they loved Anunoby. They knew what they had was gold.
Yep.
They knew
And
what they
it
had was
fit
gold.
perfect with I always forget his name. Harrison Barnes, right? Not Harrison Barnes, Scotty Barnes.
Scotty Barnes, yeah,
Um, fits perfect with him because Scotty Barnes, he's not a great shooter. He attacks the basket. You want somebody who is going to help you, you know, defend, the best player on the other team. So Scotty Barnes doesn't have to do it all the time because he is a great defender.
yes.
Um, but and then OG just spaces the floor so he can kick it out to OG and he can shoot the three. And you know that most of the time he's going to make it in. So, it was a big loss. And depending on how they develop RJ, because that's how they're going to try to utilize him. You know what I mean? I just don't know how successful RJ is going to become. And I wish nothing but success for the two of those two guys because, they
Exactly, yeah.
were Knicks homegrown and they
Not too
had
much
great
suc-
games.
Not too much
Yeah, nah,
success either. Not too
not with
much.
us.
Not too
No
much. You know what I
championship
mean?
or anything
No
like
all-star games. No, I don't even want all-star games. Nothing like that.
that.
I have a good 20 point per game. That's fine. but
Let them get paid, and then they can just like take it easy after
overrated.
that.
Way too paid too high. That's I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind that. I mean, there's a chance to quickly might
yeah,
quickly played against bench people most of the time. So you don't know what he really is. You kind of know what Barrett is, and he still has to learn. He still has to fit. But anyway, let me ask something. I don't know. You've been reading a lot, but Ananobi, do you know who his agent is?
yeah. He's Leon Rose's son.
Yeah. Do you think behind the scenes, Ananobi and his agent forced themselves to the Knicks?
So what I read is that Ananobi wanted a
Bigger role.
bigger role, right? And Toronto just really couldn't offer that, right? They had Siakam, they had Scotty Barnes in there, two guys that really are ball dominant. And you could probably say the same thing with, Brunson and Randall. However, OG's role is going to be a little bit more different, and now he's going to have the touches that not Randall, that RJ had, right? So he kind of can take over that. Where in Toronto they were saying that like he had nowhere near the touches that RJ had. Um, so he wanted that, and then I read that he said, and I don't know how true that is. I've been trying to find how true that is, but um, if he went to New York, he was willing to take a pay cut as well. You get me? Didn't say the Knicks specifically, but come on, nobody wants to play with the Nets. Um,
Damn,
so
little jab at Joe. I don't know where that team's going. I don't know what that team's doing. But anyway, that's a whole different podcast.
but
But
I want to ask you this because you brought this interesting point that I haven't really thought of. You said that there's a possibility that we can flip Precious. If you flip Precious, what asset do you think you're getting back? I know you said Drummond, right? But just Drummond or
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a real long-term asset. I don't think they're gonna go that route. I like Achua. I don't know. I like him for the potential he can be and for the athletic that he demonstrates that we don't really have on this team. Like kind of like a strong Obi Toppin, high flyer, grinded kind of player, but he has never put it on the court. I don't think he's really. I think he's more like a 9th, 10th man, 11th man. Honestly, I don't think there's anything there really with Precious. Man, he has to prove it to me because I don't think there's anything there. I think somebody like the Bulls who are gonna have to rebuild makes sense. Hey, let's take a flyer on this guy. Maybe you never know. Drummond's not gonna resign with them. I think they're more worried. I don't think they love Achua, Taj Gibson, or who else am I missing? Like Sims as the backup for Hartenstein. I think they're really gonna put a backup for Hartenstein, or they can flip him for a point guard also, because you're gonna need salary, right? You're gonna have to put Malachi Flynn. You have to use Precious Achua. What other salary are you gonna use? Fournier? I guess. I mean,
17 mil.
yeah, for Brogdon, yes, but there's not that many point guards making that kind of money either.
Yeah, I mean, I can see us trying to go for Brogdon. I think that's probably the best move that the Knicks can do is throw in, Fournier and throw in like a first round pick.
You're gonna have to throw first, yeah.
I mean, I think that's enough to get Brogdon. Brogdon is just a six man bench player at this point. Um, and Portland, there's no reason why to keep
Mhm.
a guy like him unless
Too
you're
many
thinking that you're
guards.
going to get more.
They have
Yeah.
too many guards. They have Simons and Fernie Simons. They have the guy they just drafted. What's his name? The little guy.
Thompson or whatever.
Mm-mm. Um,
Yeah, they got like three or four guards in that.
no, the guy who went like third, fourth overall.
No, I know. I thought it was like one of the Thompson brothers.
No, they went to Houston and Pistons. Um, shoot,
I'll
how
tell
did
you right now. I'm looking it up.
he went like fourth overall? He was arguably with
So they
the
got Shaden Sharp, Henderson,
Scoot Henderson. They're gonna have
yeah,
to find time for all three players, and they have no.
Anthony. Yeah, they got four guards.
Who's the fourth besides? I mean, with Brogdon, you're
You
saying?
you got Anthony Simmons,
Yeah,
Shaden Sharp,
yeah,
Scoot Henderson, and Brogdon.
yeah.
So,
And I'm pretty sure they have more players they like. I mean, if I look it up the team, I can tell you, oh, like this guy, they don't mind. But
you know,
this is why the move was smart. You went from, I would say, the hardest position to get in the NBA is 3-and-D wings. The hardest position to get in the NBA. The easiest position to get in the NBA is a combo guard, a scoring guard off the bench. Those things fall like trees. As a matter of fact, when you pay them too much, they lose their value very quick. Let me give you an example. Jordan Poole, great player. Once they paid him a year later, they had to salary dump him,
Yeah.
right? Look at Levine now. Not too many people want him. Not too many people. He's a little scoring guard. Not too many people want him, man. Those things you can find. You can find them anywhere. You know what I mean? I think we should draft one this year just to grow behind Brogdon. Because Brogdon
And,
has
and
a
th
2 year deal.
those guys are really great off the bench, right?
Yeah.
They're like a spark off the bench, and that's why, like, quickly, yeah, I think he can definitely be a starting point guard
Me too.
because he has the PNR. He can shoot. He could drive to the basket. Pretty good defender. Um,
Gets
but
fouls.
guys like Levine, guys like Jordan Poole, they're off the bench guys.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that you bring them off the bench, they'll get you like 20, 25 points every game. And they'll spark the bench guys to play and stuff like that.
No
But
defense.
yeah, no defense. Like a J.R. Smith, pretty much. Except for J.R. Smith could play a defense, but you know, his whole career he was pretty much off the bench, off the bench, off the bench. Um, so I really don't want Levine or anything like that.
No,
So
I mean either. I think it's scary how smart they are doing this. It's almost like you're waiting for them to make a mistake on this team. They have what they have, and they know how to maneuver the team perfectly to set it up right. And they're just working it perfect. They got their point guard, right? They need a point guard. They got their like a yo-yo. They got their point guard. Then they need a small forward. They got their small forward. Thibodeau style centers. They love defensive centers. Hartenstein's okay defensively. He's not great, but Mitchell's is a beast defensively. But Hartenstein holds. Yo, you saw that block on Rudy Gobert today?
yeah.
Bro, check it out, bro. I said it had me jumping off my. I was at work and I jumped off my table. I
And
was
it's
like, oh
interesting
my god.
because they get these players that, you know, you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like when we got iHeart, we're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like we got Randall, like what are we doing? But like everyone has panned out
Yeah.
to play beyond what they are,
Even
except for
Josh
our
Hart, I wasn't
own.
in love with. I wasn't in love with Josh Hart when I first got him.
Me neither, because he was a little undersized.
Exactly. I was like, oh, I don't know, man. We really need a real small forward,
Yeah,
bro. That guy's a heart of a team now.
yeah, yeah,
So he
exactly.
closing games and everything.
The only unsuccess that we've didn't have was our homegrown guys, except for Quickly, but
But I
RJ,
would say I'm gonna use the terms this because they do draft well. They don't draft well in the top 10.
they don't.
They
We are like mid and second
and
rounders.
that's what's really hurt our rebuild faster. They screwed up. They
Topping.
kind of screwed up with Toppin. Yes, they kind of screwed up with Barrett. You know what I mean? He really is not that player. He's
Yeah,
really
because you
not.
could have had like Darius Garland,
Yeah.
but we
Who
we
else?
I don't know. Kevin Knox was with the Leon Rose era, or he might have been.
No, he wasn't with the Leon Rose era.
Okay,
Kevin Knox was before Barrett.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I
So
wasn't sure if Leon Rose was already here or
at
not.
least so it wasn't Leon Rose, but at least in the Knicks in the last 10 years haven't been able to draft well. The only one they drafted well was Porzingis, which was the one I hated the most of all the picks that we did. I was so pissed, and he was the right one actually, because
Yeah,
everybody else turned out. Lonzo Ball turned out garbage. Jaleel Okafor, remember him? I wanted him too. Oof,
yeah. He almost
I would
fell to
have,
us.
I would have lost my job.
I think we wanted like Moutier. Like
Yeah,
he's not even in the
Moutier.
league
I even
anymore.
wanted the center from the Kings, Willie Caulstein. I was like, I'll take him over Porzingis. But I'm glad I was. I thought he was another Tyson Chandler, but he wasn't. Okay, so this trade, obviously, we kind of pointed out we got a replacement for a backup, even if it doesn't, even if we don't get if we keep Achua, we do have a replacement. It might work with Achua. It might not. What do you see we need now? Obviously, the point guard, right? Do you see anything else that we need?
I think the point guard is probably the best uh move that we can make. But if you get rid of Precious, right? Um, you would have to go with someone like Andre Drummond, like you said. But to me, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense.
You're not in love with that move.
I'm not.
Hard. Drummond's hard. There's nights that Drummond gives you 20-20. There's nights
No,
that Drummond
unless
gives
you're
you
gonna
seven
give me
turnovers.
like a first round pick or something like that,
What do you mean?
which is not gonna
We're
happen.
gonna get a first round pick from them?
Yeah,
What
I'm
does that
not.
mean?
I'd rather stick with Achua.
Chua?
I think the move to make is getting someone like Brogdon,
Yeah, that's the move to make.
a
You're right.
skillful, smart.
So you're okay with a Chua and Taj Gibson split as being the backup center?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because we haven't seen Achua yet, and
No,
Tibbs
you're
is a
right.
defensive guy.
Like I said, I see a 20 game tryout for him. I gotta see. I'm gonna look very deeply into it. Supposedly Achua can shoot the three, but he's never shot the three well. That's something that if he can rebound and shoot the three, I'm all in. Keep him. He could play this power forward and center position. That's something that this trade gave us. They gave us finally a backup power forward because Josh Hart was playing the backup power forward at 6'5". It wasn't really working out. Now Anunoby can play power forward. Achua can play power forward. So you gave yourself a lot of more. You know, People say, "Oh, we
Options.
lost depth," but we didn't. We didn't. We just one position depth. And we minimized the wings a little bit because that was too much. Hart was getting mad. Grimes was getting mad. Now you got Grimes and Dante fighting for shooting guard. Clearly, no more IQ in the shooting guard position. Now it's just Grimes and Dante. Man, Dante, man, he's impressed me.
I've always been a big fan of Dante since
Yeah.
with the Bucks. Yeah, he was. That's why when he got hurt that year with the Bucks, when they went to the championship, I couldn't believe that they got rid of him and he went to Golden State. Um,
No,
because
no. Before he went to Golden State, I think they traded him from the Bucks to the Kings, if I'm not mistaken. And then he signed with Golden State. That's what happened.
okay, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember him being with the Bucks, and then I remember him being with Golden State.
Yeah.
Uh, shortly after, I guess. But
Watching them
uh,
play now, I don't understand why the Bucks they could really use him right now instead of
I
Malik
the
Beasley.
the Bucks have made the wrong choices multiple times.
I
You
mean,
know,
doesn't every team do? Every
yeah,
team, no matter what.
they
You know what I mean?
they let go of Brogdon, they let him walk, or they
Yeah,
traded him.
that was stupid.
That was a bad
They
move.
signed Bledsoe instead. That was the
Exactly.
wrong move. That one really hurt them a lot. You're right.
So they that front office has definitely made a lot of wrong moves. I mean, they still won a championship, but that's
Yeah,
because of Giannis. You're right. He did go to the Kings
he did
and
right.
then the
I
Warriors.
can't remember what the trade was, but they traded him over there. It could have been a first round pick. It could have been. I don't know. But somehow they got Grayson Allen. I think it might have been a three-way trade.
It was a four-team trade.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my God, Serge Ibaka went to the Bucks.
That's who they got. Did they get Grayson Allen in that trade from the Grizzlies?
I don't think so because
Oh,
it just says well, actually, it doesn't even tell me the whole four-team trade, so it's possible.
mhm.
But yeah, I thought they got
Get
Grayson Allen afterwards.
getting Brogdon, it's gonna cost you a first round pick. I'm not in love with that either because I like to keep these picks for a bigger move. Just in case, let's say they come in and say, "Oh, we traded Brogdon to somebody else." Who would be? Give me another two, three more people you would consider. Are you looking for more youth? Are you looking for more veteranship? Are you looking for more passing? Are you looking for more scoring?
Um, so I'm looking for more of somebody who can spark up the bench,
Okay.
right? Doesn't necessarily need to be scoring because I think you have guys like, whether it's going to be Grimes or DiVincenzo playing off the bench. And then you have Josh Hart who can, at any given night give you 15 to 20 points.
Yeah.
Um, but they just need that right playmaker, right? Kind of if they don't all just stand outside the perimeter and they like today they were cutting and the ball was moving around and iHeart was passing the ball and even Brunson, I think Brunson got like 12 assists. Um, I think that's going to do the team really well.
So let's play a
Uh,
little. Let's play a little game. I'm gonna mention a player, and you're gonna say I'm in or pass.
okay.
For example, if I say somebody like Bones Highland,
I haven't seen much of his game, but I know like with the Nuggets, right? He's in the Nuggets.
no, he's in the Clippers now. They traded him,
Oh,
remember, for a second round pick. Remember when that trade happened? We're like, oh, what a steal!
yeah.
It was happened last year in the deadline.
I know that he's not too happy now because they
No.
had to reduce his minutes because of
Yeah.
James Harden.
So what do you think?
Um, I would definitely take him. I think he's
Okay.
like a quickly type player.
So Malachi
Long
Flynn, a
line,
second
he
round
could
pick.
shoot.
That should be enough. Okay, next guy.
And a second round pick. You think that's enough?
Yeah, there's no value
Okay.
in both Highlands. That's what they gave to get him.
Okay.
What about the white boy from Boston? It won't happen because I think they need him. They need a backup. The shooter. What's his name? Oh, shoot.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Starts with a
Payne
P.
Pritchard. Payne
Yeah.
Pritchard.
Yeah, I would like him.
Okay.
I'd rather have like Caruso,
Okay. No,
but
that's
they'll
gonna cost you.
never give
That's
her.
gonna cost you over one pick.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not into that. Let me see who else. Nobody there.
Or I'll take the white boy from the Lakers.
Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
Bro, stop. They think he's a superstar. They
I
value him as a
know.
superstar.
I know.
All
I
right.
know.
I'm talking about realistic players that we don't have to give up more than one first round pick, and you're looking about a second round pick. Kira
And what's the first round pick that you're giving up? Our first
protected,
round pick?
protected. No way I'm giving up a Knicks pick. No way.
But
Now,
like
if
one of the
if
first round picks that we
if
have,
I
like
had to give
Dallas.
up, you have Dallas pick. If I had to
Uh,
give up a pick, it would have to be this year's pick. That's it.
right.
Because the Stippian rule, you don't want to get locked into not being able to give up a pick in the future. So it has to be this year's pick. But I'm not even into that either. I don't think a backup point guard deserves a first round pick. They're very replaceable.
I
You can
agree.
find that. Yeah. So Brogdon's the only one, I think. I mean, you can find something here and there. How about Kira Lewis? Pass?
Yeah, Bass. Come on,
Dallas
man.
is nobody.
I'd rather have Ntilikina.
Nah, he's not even playing. Javon Carter from the Chicago Bulls.
Uh, see, I haven't seen him play that much, but I'll pass.
Shake Milton, Minnesota Timberwolves.
I like Shake Milton, but he's not really a point guard though.
Nah, he's not.
He's like a shooting guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll pass on
That's
that.
uh does Atlanta have anybody I'd be interested in? No. Oklahoma City. Trey Man.
I haven't seen Trey Mann play since he, sparked. He's in OKC, right?
Yeah.
He sparked OKC for a little bit, like a year or two ago. Ever since then, I really haven't heard much, so I'll probably have to say pass.
Davian Mitchell from Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, no, I remember him. I wanted him when the
When got
draft came.
drafted. Yeah.
Um, I haven't seen him play, so I don't know.
He's like he's good defensively.
Right.
He hasn't done his offense has not been there. His 3-point shooting has not been there great either. So I'm gonna say pass then. You're literally good about
Yeah.
to pass. I want to
Yeah, I'll
say
pass.
Trey Jones from the Wizards, but I'm scared he might cost you more than one first round pick, believe it or not.
Trey Jones.
Trey Jones, yes. Yeah, I can't really remember. He was with the Grizzlies. He was their backup. Then he
Yeah, I
got
was gonna say, is he the
yeah.
one that was with the Grizzlies? I thought he was still
Yeah.
with the Grizzlies.
No, he got traded in the was it the Smart trade? Yeah, Marcus Smart trade. He got traded for the Marcus Smart trade.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They
I
gave him
like Trey Jones. I think he's a solid backup point
I
guard.
would take him, but if it's gonna cost you more than one first round pick, I'm gonna pass.
I would say who's gonna cost less. And you know what? I like Brogdon's defense.
Me too. When he can, because he can be a little bit injury prone.
That's true.
Um, does Detroit have any? I would like to get Jaden Ivey, but two things: he's going to cost more than a first round pick, and he's going to cost, and his 3-point shooting's not there at all. So
Yeah,
I'm
but
going to say
I don't think they're gonna give up Jaden
they're not
Ivey.
going to. You can't.
Yeah.
Not at this point in stage. Jordan Clarkson. He's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard. What do you think?
Um, he's a shooting guard, but he's a very ball dominant shooting guard.
Yes.
So it's actually pretty good for off the bench.
Yeah.
He's still with the Jazz.
Yes.
How are the Jazz doing?
They're out of it. They're not. We have their
Okay.
second round pick, by the way.
What if we give him back their second round pick and a
They're going to
protected
want more than
first?
that.
Protected first?
It might happen with a protected first and a second round pick. It
I'll
might happen.
yeah, I would take him.
Okay. How about Ish Smith? My man has been to like 27 teams, but
Yeah.
never the Knicks. What do
You
you
know
think about
what?
his time with the Knicks now?
I do like Ish Smith. That kid has made me well, he's not even a kid, he's an old ass man, but he's made me a believer. That guy hustles.
I
That's the
like
type of
him,
guy that,
but I'll
you know,
pass. I'll pass.
oh
He's
no.
not a he's a third point guard for me, not a second.
I agree, but you know what? If you give him some backup minutes, I think he will.
Hmm.
Especially in New York, man.
I think we should call Orlando. Orlando has 3 point guards. Anthony Black, they just drafted this year. Jalen Slugs, they drafted like top five, I think, last year or the year
It's
before. And
booty.
then Cole Anthony, too. And Cole Anthony's the one you should get because he's definitely a backup. What do you think about Cole Anthony? Pass or no?
That that's gonna take you like two firsts at
You
least.
think so?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I would love
And
Cole Anthony because his dad played for
too.
the Knicks,
Yeah, me
and
too.
but
I think
you know it's
he'll
the
make it.
Magic. They ain't gonna trade with us.
Why not?
They're gonna want.
I think the Nets won't, but or the I would have thought the Raptors were never right. We said it right. They were suing us. We ain't trading with them. I kept on saying
Yeah,
it every day. It ain't never my dream of an Anubio, Mikal Bridges is never gonna happen. Boom. I was at work. I saw 16 messages. I was in shock. I could
but
not believe.
I'm sure that's what Leon Rose is doing. Exactly like where he's going through every guards and who has a
Calling
over.
everybody.
Yeah,
What can I get it for? And I think it's gonna take till the deadline. It's gonna take till the deadline. What about TJ McConnell from the Indiana Pacers? Would you rob him from Mike?
I like white point guards for some reason. They hustle. Um, but I wouldn't give more than a second round pick.
Oh yeah, he's not worth
Yeah,
first.
not
I mean, a
worth
lot
a
of these
first.
players we mentioned, I would say a little bit less than half can be have with a second round pick, but those are the worst ones that like you're like, oh, I don't know, it's not good. But the good ones, like Jordan Clarkson, Malcolm Brogdon, I don't know who else I mentioned, Payne
Cole Anthony.
Pritchard, Cole Anthony. Those you need to give up at least one first round pick. What the other parts are, if you have to give up a Chua, because again, he's a young player, protected, and a second round pick with the first round pick, I'm probably gonna do that move. I'm probably gonna do that move. I'm not a believer in a Chua. I hope in a week two from now, I'll be like, you know what, Kenny? I take it back. But
It's
as
gonna
of right
happen
now,
because you weren't a believer of iHeart. I was excited when we signed him.
kind of, I was not a believer. I was like,
I
really?
was.
This guy? I was
I
not a
saw
believer.
him play a few times in the Clippers, and I was like, "Damn, this guy's like smart. He does the right plays."
But he
You
fouled a
know.
lot. That's what
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
such
but
a
so did Mitchell
hacker.
Robinson. So
Yeah, I
they show
know.
them the discipline. So
Yeah, I guess with time, and I think that was a huge loss for the Clippers.
I agree. I was very surprised because we signed him for cheap, 2 year deal. Kind of wish we signed him for like a 6 year deal, but it is what it is.
But anyway, we're gonna have to cut it off here, guys. Good stuff is happening with the Knicks. Hopefully, they make another move. Next time we go on, I would like to do some mock trades. You bring one and I bring one. We'll talk about it. But for now, guys, enjoy your night. I hope you watch the game. Any last words,
All
Kenny?
right, let's go next, baby. Let's
Go
get to
Knicks,
that third
baby.
spot.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.